Hi, I'm Nancy. Welcome to Mindful Yoga. Today we're going to be working with the spine, and also we're going to be counting to 12, just being quiet a bit. We're going to come to a standing position first. Start some movement for our joints. Feel your heels under your hip joints. Go back and forth between your heels and the balls of your feet a bit, letting the toes lift, feeling your connection with the earth, little brightness in the arches and lift up through the body. Letting the shoulder blades rest down and the lower front ribs rest down on the exhale. And let the chin come to the chest and draw a necklace. Working out a few cricks and cracks. Listening to the body. And coming up over one shoulder, just to the place where it's right for you. Always modifying for what your body needs. Coming back through center, lift the chin, gaze rises just slightly, and then come back again. Flexing and extending through the cervical spine. Maybe in awe at all the mobility we have in our cervical spine. Coming back through center, we'll rotate it with the chin coming over towards the shoulder and then over to the other shoulder. So this is the part of our spine that has the most mobility. The joints are put together, the discs are built, all for mobility. One more time in each side. And back through center. Inhale, shoulders up to ears, squeeze the shoulder blades together using those rhomboids in the back, low down, and bring them forward. Inhale, up, letting the shoulder blades and the muscles around the shoulder blades to connect with the shoulder girdle be quite strong here as they squeeze in and widen out and come up. One more time, round. And then back the other direction one time. Up to the ears, hold for 3, 2, and 1. Gently let them come down. Inhale, shoulders up to ears. And exhale down. Bring the feet wider than hip width apart. Knees are soft, hips are soft, and hands come to the hip creases. Start with a small circle round of the hips. And then round the other direction. Listening to the body. Coming to the speed of the body. Letting the mind take a ride in the body. And then coming back through center, bring feet close together, knees are close together, hands come down to the thighs, fingers over the kneecaps, and circle the knees. Feeling that movement around the feet, knees, the hips, the thighs. And round the other way. For 3, 2, and 1. Coming to a standing position. Hands might be on the hips. Bring the weight into one foundation foot. Feel the weight coming down into that foot and dynamic energy coming up from the earth through the leg. Other foot comes back and turning on the toe. As you turn the toe, be aware of lifting up through the body. Maintaining that spine. It has a straight up and down motion, even with all its curves, and back around the opposite direction with the toe. How's that foot talking to you? For 3, 2, and 1. Switch to the other foot, establishing that foundation leg, tight on the muscles on the side of the hip, and then turning that toe in the back. 4, 3, 2, and 1, and then round the other direction. 4, 3, 2, and 1. And we're going to do our standing cat and cow. The chest comes in, the stomach comes in, and then stomach and chest come forward. Let it be gentle with this knowledge we have of the spine, of having ligaments running up the front of the spine, ligaments down the back of the spine, not overstretching them and not over squeezing the discs with their little water balloons at their center that nestle between each of the vertebrae and carry the weight. So just rising for a moment, coming into mountain pose, feeling the weight down through the feet, maybe moving them around, really grounding down through the feet, feeling the connection with the earth. Bringing that earth energy up through the arches, up through the inner thighs, through pelvic floor, up through the center of the diaphragm, the center of the lungs, up through the root of the tongue, a little tuck in the chin, out behind the eyes and the top of the crown. Let's stop for 1 second and not move our arms so much. Now we will count to 12, and we will all keep still for once on earth. Let's not talk in any language. 1, 2. Arms come to the side. Inhale, arms up, fingertips touch overhead, and exhale down. As you inhale up, let the breath and attention glide up from center of pelvic floor along that path up through the crown. Tuck in the chin, lifting up through the crown. A moment like this smells sweet. No hurry, no engines. All of us at the same time in need of rest. Bring the feet wide. Begin to turn the hips as the heel lifts on each side. Arms can move freely with the turn of the hips. Letting the twist be mainly through the thoracic spine and the hips. So the hips do move. You're lifting your heels so the hips can move. But the lumbar spine, those 5 vertebrae, and the sacrum, the bottom of the spine, can stay stable. Bring one hand up and tap the eye of the shoulder. Tap the sides of the ribs, waking up the body, the sides of the hips. And then up to the breastbone. Into the solar plexus between the lower ribs. Into the belly button. and to the lower abdomen. And one hand to the front of the waist and one hand to the back of the waist. Feeling the belly button in the front and the back of the waist behind. And then the lower ab and the sacrum. And coming to stillness, bring the hands to your deep center. Perhaps making a kind of diamond around the belly button. Breathing from the pelvic floor up through the navel. And imagining that breath and attention coming back down from the navel to the reproductive organs, up and back a few more times. Practicing our proprioception, our sense of where things are in our bodies. Then shift that attention and breathing movement from the pelvic floor up through the back of the waist. Tracing an imaginary line from the pelvic floor up through the back of the waist. Finally, coming from the pelvic floor up through the deep center, between the belly button and the back of the waist, the front of the lumbar spine, maybe a little bit below the belly button. Finding your deep center place. And breathing there. If we were not so single-minded about keeping our lives moving and could maybe do nothing for once, a huge silence might interrupt this sadness of never understanding ourselves, of threatening ourselves with death. Perhaps the earth could teach us. Everything would seem dead and then be alive. Bringing your hands down. Inhale up. Exhale, so hands come down to the shins, reaching back through the hips, forward through the crown. Knees are a little soft, feeling that stretch through the spine. Knees come soft, hips come soft. Inhale up. Exhale back, hands to shins, reaching back through the sacrum, forward through the crown. One breath here. Once again, knees bend, hips bend, and come up. And one last time, coming down, hands on the shins. Long through the spine. Letting all of those little water balloons have space. They're all under a lot of pressure, but they have a wonderful buoyancy, especially in the mornings. Then bending the knees, we're going to bring the hands straight out in front of us, palms facing each other, into chair, hips reaching out in the back. Inhale up, exhale back into chair, lower tips of the shoulder blades resting down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Bring the hands around the face like sunbeams and twisting just through the thoracic spine, one side to another. And come back through center and rise up. Bring the feet wide, hands come to the knees. Feel your stability here through your feet, your knees, through your lumbar spine. And then let one shoulder come towards the knee on the other side, back and forth. Aware of where you are feeling that twist from the waist up, the shoulders allowing the upper thoracic spine to have a little more twist here. And coming back through center, we'll do a cat-cow here. Let's start with a very mild cat-cow, stretching back through the thighs, through the hips, and forward through the crown. And as you exhale, lifting up through the waist and the side of the ribs, just a slight lifting. And we'll come to a deeper one in a moment. So just for now, stretching long, and then using your side muscles to lift up through ribs and waist. Now, if you would like to invite the tailbone to come into the action a little bit more, feel free to do so. The lumbar spine does have the ability to flex and extend, which is what we're doing here. And it feels good, at least in my body. One last time. And come up. Feet are directly under the hips. Bring the weight into one foot. Make sure there's no flaring out in the hip on that side. The other leg and arm are very floppy and empty. Inhale up with the arm, reach high, high, lifting up through the vertebrae, allowing the discs to be very buoyant. And then dangling the arm over, stretching up through the side, distributing that side bend all the way up through the spine. And coming back down, weight shifts to the other leg, establishing the foundation leg, becoming long and tall through the spine, and dangling over. Length, important here. Keeping a tall and long spine that is centered, stretching that side ligament along that goes up the side of the spine a bit, but not overstretching it. Squeezing the discs a bit, but not over squeezing them. And one more time to each side. And come back through center. I'm going to come into a stork balance. So finding your foundation foot, feeling the weight coming from hip joint down through the middle of the heel over to the edge of the heel on the outside and across to the mound of the big foot and second or third toe. Hands to hips, keep that long, tall spine, little tuck in the chin, lifting up through the crown from pelvic floor, up through the diaphragm and the lungs, behind the eyes, up through the crown as the knee comes up and down. And then keeping that knee up, bring the arms out if this suits, and fly. For 3, 2, and 1. Beautiful wing movements. And coming to the other side, finding your center there. Strong through that leg, up through the body. Lifting the knee a few times, letting the body get used to this weight on one side of the spine, and yet a long, tall spine at the same time. And the toe can always come down if you want to fly with your toe down or toe up, either way. Just enjoying your flight. And bring it down. The suggestion that the earth could perhaps teach us, I'm taking to heart here as we do a few movements that bring us in touch with earth energy. Begin to bend the knees slightly and bring them up. Feel the feet in touch with the earth. As the knees bend, elbows bend and come back in the back. Palms are down towards the earth. Palms lift up as knees bend and push down. as knees come straight. Coordinating your breathing and your movement. Letting earth energy come up into the body. Two more times. Bring the feet together under the hips. This is an earth practice that comes from Qi Gong. Left foot reaches out. The arms reach up with palms up, and the heel can come up in the back. Then swing the arms across, other heel can come up. Back palm is down and front palm is up. Then that front hand comes down and brushes the earth. Arms come wide. Foot comes in and arms come to the side. Step out to the right, arms rise to the right. Come across, back palm down, front palm up, over to the left. Brush the earth. Arms come wide. Everything comes together. And continuing, lift up, come across, back palm down, across the earth, wide, and back in. To the right, lift up, come across, front palm up, brush the earth, come wide, and come together. To the left. And one last time on each side. And coming back to center, take a breath, an inhale and an exhale, letting the attention glide up through that central channel of the body, becoming once again long and tall and centered through the spine, helping the spine to be stable and strong. Then bring the feet wide, hands come to the thighs just above the knees, and we're going to just come back and forth, a little stretch through the inner thighs, loosening up through the hips. Those who prepare green wars, wars with gas, wars with fire, victories with no survivors, would put on clean clothes and go for a walk with their brothers out in the shade, doing nothing. Bring the body up. Feet remain wide, toes a little bit out towards the corners. Inhale, arms up the back, and then palms down, bring them down, knees bend over the ankles, and hands come across the thighs and back. Inhale up as you come up, lower tips of the shoulder blades. Stay to some extent down, although the shoulder blades themselves at the top are lifting up. As you come down, the front lower ribs are coming home. Very aware of the breath and where the attention is. Two more times. Good standing squat. Good for getting up and down from chairs for many years to come. Bring our feet together for a moment. And they come out wide and knees bend once again. And we are bears holding platters. Let's scoop up some earth, hold some earth in our hands or our platters. Lumbar spine is very strong and stable as we turn through the thoracic spine and the neck. Thoracic spine having a medium amount of rotation, nothing like the neck. And of course, our neck is nothing like the owl. It's all relative. And coming back through center, let that earth come down to the earth once again as each palm presses down along either side of the thigh and comes up and presses down on the other side. Coming down to earth, to which we belong. And one more time on each side. And bring the feet together. Take a breath, an inhale and an exhale. And then we're going to come into a warrior two and keep our attention and breath on this long, tall spine as we do our warrior two. So coming into this very traditional and familiar pose, the front knee right over the ankle and the back foot going to a place of comfort. It might be at 30 degrees, but be kind to your hip, find your place. Find the stance, might be a little more narrow, it might be a little wider apart. Find your center, the pelvic floor, and that deep center between the belly button and the back side of the waist. Breathing from the central pelvic floor to deep center, up through lungs, behind the eyes, and keeping that long, tall spine as we open through the chest, reach out through the fingers and turn the head. So we're just turning the neck, the torso of the body, long and tall and stable. Let the attention glide up and down that long central channel. On the exhale, shoulder blades and lower ribs resting down. One more breath here. Bending that front arm, bringing it down to the thigh, perhaps up to the joint between the hip and the thigh for a little bit more support today. Bringing the other arm up, being aware of the turn in the spine, but avoiding a hinge right at the top of the lumbar spine behind the waist, but rather finding a smooth spine that has, not completely straight, but more or less straight from the pelvic floor up through the spine to the crown of the head, stretching from the back foot up through the fingertips. Engaging muscles to hold the stability of the spine. Then pushing back with that top hand, comes back to the waist, other hand reaches up. Here again, imagine that central channel reaching up, and then a slight bowing to the side ribs. So there is some stretch of the ligaments, there is some squeezing of the discs here. but it's mild. And there might even be a little bit of back bend here, using your muscles for stability. And we'll come once again forward into the side angle, long through the spine, strong through the front and back muscles and the side muscles. Reaching back, other hand reaches up to the sky. Attention on that long central channel. One more inhale and exhale here. And come down through warrior two. Hands come to the waist and feet come together. One hand on chest and one hand on belly, and just take an inhale and exhale. Relaxing and feeling. And then we'll come to warrior two on the other side. Again, finding the right distance between the feet, the right turn of the hip for you. Grounding down through the feet, really feeling those feet against the earth. Inviting the earth energy up through those strong legs and finding that central channel that goes straight up from reproductive organs through deep center, up through the center of the diaphragm, up through the center of the lungs, the root of the tongue, and up. Maintaining that, opening the chest and reaching out through the fingertips. Inviting the attention and the breath to glide up and down that central channel of the body. Two more breaths. And bending the front arm, bringing it onto the thigh, perhaps more up to the hip this time, towards that hip joint. And then coming over. No extreme curve in any part of the back, distributing that stretch from the hip all along the lumbar, the thoracic, and the cervical spine. Feeling the stretch from the outside of the sole of the foot up through the fingertips. And then sweeping back, hand comes to the thigh in the back, reach up to the heavens. A slight bowing through the ribs, a slight bowing in a back bend, very slight, through the spine. And coming back to side angle. Number one, being aware, bringing attention to the breath, but also to the spine, to its strength, its stability. Defending it for its life force. Coming back through warrior two. One more inhale and exhale here. Relaxing down and bringing hands to the hips and feet come back together. Now I have one more here standing up. So we're going to bring our hands kind of in upside down parentheses, the one hand palm facing up at the lower abdomen, the other hand facing down at the belly button. As knees bend, the top hand faces the side and palm facing the side and pushes out as knees bend. So exhale. Inhale, change hands. Exhale, push out. Inhale, straighten legs, change hands. Exhale, push out. One more time. And come up through center. Now we'll come to a lying position. Perhaps feeling ease as the spine from sacrum through lumbar spine and that curve upwards, the thoracic spine touching the mat behind the heart, the arch up through the neck and the skull, touching the mat, the earth. Bring the arms out from the shoulders horizontally, knees bend above the hips. Let the legs come over to about 45 degrees or less, depending what you need. Pause for a moment. Inhale up. Exhale over to the other side. Inhale up. And back and forth at your own rate. Pausing slightly, giving some challenge to the muscles. Listening to the muscles. What is working here? Bringing them up to center. Bring the feet down. Let the hips rise and come over to the left slightly. Bring the knees back up and let the knees come over to the right. So the hips are perpendicular. One hip under the bottom hip under the top hip. And that arm in the back, the hand might come onto the ribs. No need for the shoulder to be pinned down on the other side. One more breath here. Inhale, knees back up, feet come down, hips come to center and then over to the right slightly, knees come up and fall over to the left. Lift the hips slightly, rearrange them so that the hips are perpendicular and the twist is being felt through the hips and not through the lumbar spine. Arranging the hands, the arms, as is comfortable. One more breath. And lifting up the knees, centering the hips. Bring the legs straight up towards the ceiling. Let's scissor the legs, crossing them in front. Opening up through the hip joints. Take one knee and hug it into the chest. Let the other leg be extended a few inches off the earth. Bring that other knee up towards the chest and down towards the bottom of the mat. Feeling perhaps some engagement through the inner abdomen area, the psoas. One more time, up and back. And then change sides, hugging in the other knee and extending and bending through the other leg. Let the knees come together, knees bent over the hips, raise the head, fingers come to the skull behind for some support, elbows are wide, one leg out, one knee up, drawing in through pelvic floor, through the lower abdomen, through the area between the lower ribs, the whole front of the body engaged and alight. Option to bring elbow to opposite knee, bringing the muscles of the vertebrae into the movement, engagement. For 3, 2, and 1, and bring it down. Let's come into happy baby. Knees come back to the armpits, and then raising the feet, bringing the hands where it's comfortable, and choosing what you would like here. Perhaps you'd like to rock across the back waist, the sacrum area, feeling and relaxing. Or perhaps you'd like to push up through one foot and then another. Let's find what the body would like here. Letting happy baby go. I hope the happy baby is happy. Bring the knees over the hips. And no, I'm wrong. I want the feet down on the mat. So knees are bent, feet are on the mat. Arms are crossed with hands coming to the inner shoulders. Inhale, head up and shoulders just a little bit. You'll feel muscles engaging as you look down, and then bring it down. Inhale up. Maybe you look down in between the legs and bring the head back down. This is Chris Holmes, the body worker teacher at Kripalu, urging us to nourish our muscles and strengthen our muscles so that we are strong to keep a stable spine. Head stays back for a moment, take a breath. And then with the knees still bent, option to raise the head, just as we were, keeping it up and doing Kapalabhati, which is that sharp exhale and a passive inhale. So focus on the nose. Inhale with your head down. Exhale. Inhale half. Lift the head and begin the Kapalabhati. Sharp exhale. Eight, 9, and 10, and bring it down. This is optional. Inhale, head up, and Kapalabhati. And bring the head down. Take a breath. Last option, knees might be bent or legs might be extended out straight, and this will bring more challenge. Flex the ankles and let the heels push down towards the bottom of the mat. Inhale with the head down, exhale. Inhale halfway, raise the head and begin your 10 times of Kapalabhati. And bring it down. Take a breath. Inhale halfway. Finding your place in this exercise. And bring it down. Let's take a long stretch. Breathe, feel, relax. Just witnessing the body. Let the hands come down along the side. Arms are along the side, feet just a few inches below the buttocks. We're coming into bridge as the shoulders tuck in, elbows come in towards the waist. Weight into the heels, wiggle the toes, rise up through the hips. Emphasis on the length between the knees and the collarbone. Hips not lifting high. It's a nice straight curvy spine from the shoulders down through the knees. And bring it down. Inhale up once again, bringing the weight into the shoulders and the heels. Feel the thigh bones coming into the hip joints. Let that be your engagement instead of lifting the hips so high. Femurs coming in towards the hip joints, up towards the shoulders and bring it down. Glutes are, of course, engaging as we do this. One last time. Inhale, up. Thigh bones coming up towards the hips. And let the pectoral muscles, the chest muscles, engage in towards the sternum. Hands might come in underneath and interlace below the hips, but hips remain in a line between the shoulders and the knees for 3, 2, and 1, and bring it down. Now, with continued attention to the spine, we're going to do a half shoulder stand. So we're going to lift up the hips. So we'll bend our knees, we'll lift up the hips, the elbows will come in and we'll catch the buttocks. So bring the elbows close in towards the waist, press down through the hands, lift up with the hips, catch the sacrum, the hips in the back. Elbows might come in a little bit farther, giving good support to the lumbar spine. And feeling that long spine from the sacrum up through the lumbar spine, the curves of the thoracic spine. And the neck is more bent than any part of the spine, right? But we know the neck can bend more easily than the rest of the spine. Shoulder blades strong underneath you, strong through the spine. The legs might come apart and scissor once or twice. And then knees coming down towards the forehead. Hands come down, give support as you roll down. And let the legs follow. Take a moment to breathe. And then rolling over. We're going to bring our hands underneath our shoulders, elbows are bent along the body. Wiggle through the hips and the legs, find your place here on the earth. Then lifting up from the bottom of the ribs, up through the heart, up through the roof of the tongue. Little help from the arms here as you come up. And bring the chest back down. Lift up, engaging through the back muscles, through the front muscles. One last time. Hold. And come back down. Bring the arms along the side. Palms are in. Become long. Lift one leg and make it long down through the toes. Same with the other leg. Crown is reaching up towards the top of the mat. Inhale, head, shoulders, and legs up. Arms lift. Feel your length through the spine. A little bit of a back bend here, but length trumps the back bend. For 3, 2, and 1, and bring it back down. Let's rise up into tabletop. Knees are under shoulders, fingers wide under hips, weight in the balls of the hands as well as the heels. Bring one foot back, touch the earth, make sure that you are long and low in the spine, the low back not receiving undue load. Strong through the stomach muscles, supporting that lower back. One more touch back with the toe. And then the other side, touching back with the toe. Arms giving good support to the shoulders. 2 more taps. Coming back to the original foot, bring it back. Perhaps let it float several inches above the earth. Check in with the hips. Are they level across? Are you strong through the front and back of the body? Supporting the spine for 3, 2, and 1. Bring that knee back. Other leg comes back. finding your balanced, centered place through the spine as you hold and strengthen the muscles, particularly in the back, but also in the front. For 3, 2, and 1. Bring that knee up. Option now to bring the foot back in the same way, to raise the opposite arm with a fist at the end of it, pushing through with the fist in front of you and reaching back through the foot. Checking in with the leveling of the hips, the long, tall spine that does not load the lower back. For 3, 2, and 1. Bring it back. And other side, option to bring that fist forward. If you want to keep both hands down, that's fine. Gradually strengthening the body. No need to jump into it all at once. Feeling the engagement through the body. For 3, 2, and 1. And bring it in. Bring the hands forward of the shoulders just a bit, tuck the toes, and lift the hips up into downward dog. Long through the spine. Shoulder blades coming out a bit to the sides of the body, upper arms gently folding under just a bit to the outer side. Long through the sides of the body, sides engaged. Press down in the thumb, press down in the little finger. Engage through the pectoral muscles in the front upper torso. Engage through the shoulder blades in the back torso. Come forward into plank, knees up or knees down. Feeling the engagement, feeling your strength, feeling your long, tall spine. And bringing the elbows in, come down, slight cobra, and come back up again into downward dog. Let's come down into child's. Hips to heels for a moment. Then sliding the hands forward and coming into a knee down up dog. So glutes are strong as we open through the front. A well-distributed back bend that doesn't hinge at the waist or between the lumbar spine and the sacrum. Hips come back to heels, come forward, strong in the front and back of the body to support this opening through the front of the spine. Keeping the spine moving as one unit, not any one vertebrae receiving too much or any one disc receiving too much of the load. And then we're going to lie on our sides. So coming onto the side, forearm is under the shoulder and legs are in a gentle V. Bring the hand to the opposite shoulder so that top arm comes across to the eye of the shoulder. Lift the hips for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Next option is to lift the hips. Hand might stay on the eye of the shoulder or it might lift up. So we're strengthening the oblique muscles on the sides of the ribs, an important part of a stable and strong spine. And bring it down. Straighten the legs if you like, again, an option. Make sure that that elbow's secure underneath your shoulder. Raise the hips, hand might stay across the chest or reach up. For 3, 2, and 1. And bring it down. And we'll do that on the other side before we end here. Giving some strength all around the hip area, the waist area to support our spine. Knees are at a V and hand across the chest to the shoulder, raising up through the hips for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Next time, holding up through the hips, hand might be across or it might be up. One more long breath here. Keeping your attention to shoulders, make sure everything is safe. And then the option to bring legs straight, lift the hips, hand might stay across or it might come up. I'm feeling it in my shoulder a bit, so mine's staying across. One more inhale and exhale. And bring it down. I can feel the effort there. All right, we're coming near the close of our time. Let's come into a sitting position. Bring the hands along the side. Inhale, arms up. Attention and breath gliding up the central channel. And exhale it down. One more time. Inhale up through that deep center. And exhale down. And then finding a resting place, we will count up to 12. And as the poet says, you keep quiet and I will go. It's counting to 12. Hands coming to heart center. Let's end with an Om today, bringing our virtual community together. Inhale. Om. Namaste. Great to practice with you. I hope you are all well.